Foodies. Today we're going to be making chocolate covered cherry cookies. And they look like little cupcakes because they have the long stem maraschino cherries. And I chose this recipe because Valentine's Day coming up, and it would be a nice little gift for people or for your sweetheart. The other thing we're going to make is the Romesco sauce, which is not a cooked sauce. It's done in the food processor. So I'll talk more about that. I'm going to start with the cookies first because desserts always eat dessert first. No, so it could bake in the oven. And then we'll go to the Romesco sauce. All right, these are cookies that are great for any occasion, especially with Valentine's Day coming up, or a birthday or a holiday. So what we're using, the ingredients, it's a jar of the maraschino cherries with the stems. That makes it look nicer. Now, if you do not want to have maraschino cherries, some people will eat them, some people don't. You can get the dark sweet cherries in a can. They usually don't come with the stems. I have not seen that, but that could be substituted. It's calling for cherry brandy. If you want to soak the cherries in brandy, that's optional. We're going to use butter, sugar, cocoa powder. I like Hershey's cocoa powder, and I guess I can say brands. I like that better than anything else. Baking soda, baking powder, an egg, and flour. And then we are going to take the dough, wrap it around the cherries. All right, so the first thing the directions wants us to do are drain the cherries, which I did, and I saved the juice in the jar, and I have them draining here. If I were going to use the cherry brandy, then what they want you to do is toss them and let it stand for 30 minutes. Now, the recipe says that if you're not going to use the brandy, use the cherry juice and let them stand for 30 minutes, which I'm questioning because they were already soaking in the cherry juice. So with any kind of recipe, you can adapt and do whatever you want to do. And then I said, I did not use the brandy today. So next thing, I'm going to take a stick of butter, half a stick of butter, I'm sorry, half a cup of butter, which is 1 stick. Put it in the KitchenAid mixer, or
Miss Barb, are you using unsalted or salted butter?
Oh, that good question. I'm using salted butter. This recipe does not differentiate. Some recipes do call for unsalted butter, so you can season it as you want. Most of the time, I just use the salted butter. So it has us beating this for 30 seconds just to get it going. All of your ingredients should be at room temperature, so it's not cold and they all mix together a lot better.
And I'm not sure, I might have missed this, apologies. Just so you know, I have the recipes for both of these dishes, and actually I'm gonna throw the one up on the screen for one quick second for you to take a look at, but I will email it to all of you, okay?
Okay.
All right, oh, good, good.
Whoops, wrong.
Oh, one thing I did in the beginning, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Barbara Camlett, and I teach line dancing for the FCC on Thursdays if anybody wants to get exercise. And I was very happy when Nicole came up with this idea for cooking, because two things I love to do is dance and cook. Okay, so 30 seconds. Now I add the sugar. We have 1 cup of sugar. And look at that, isn't that cute? I
Doesn't
just
that
thought
look
that they
cute?
were so cute. As you can see, you can use the red foil cups. And the top, they just look so nice for Valentine's Day. So this is one of the things I chose thinking of the holiday coming up. Okay, so it wants me to add 1 cup of sugar. I'm going to slowly pour that in so it mixes up. And the butter, the egg that I have, everything has been at room temperature. So it says add the sugar. I'll let that heat up a little bit. I'm gonna turn the mixer down. It wants me to add the cocoa powder. So it's not on my ceiling. Slowing it down a little bit.
And Barb, we had another person join in. We have Kat.
Oh,
She's
hi,
here as
Kat.
well.
All right, so I mixed in the sugar or the butter for 30 seconds. I added the sugar and the cocoa powder. And in here I have measured out a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and baking soda. And like I said, just relax, you'll get the recipe. You don't have to worry about copying down. So we put that in there.
Yes.
And beat until combined, and it's getting there. Feed in 1 egg, which again was room temperature. One thing I have found, if you forget to take the egg out or the butter out, I found that if you take the butter, put it in the microwave for 10 seconds, it'll soften it nicely. If you take, just run your faucet in warm water and have, the hot water and put your eggs in there for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, they do come up to room temperature. It is best if you do remember, but sometimes if it's on the spur of the moment, oh, I want to bake something and you didn't think ahead because your sweet tooth hit you, that's one way to do that. And then it wants 1 teaspoon of the liquid reserved cherry juice.
Does anybody know the difference between baking soda and baking powder?
No.
No.
But I
Okay,
know
so
I made a
No.
mistake.
Not really.
well, they're both a sodium bicarbonate. However, the baking powder includes sodium bicarbonate and an acid, so it only needs liquid to become activated, where the baking soda requires an acid and a liquid to become activated. And that's what makes baked goods rise. However, I mean, if you ever, I'm sure everybody at some point in time has made that little faux pas where you put the wrong one in.
Yes.
Yes. However,
if you're making something with an acid, like anything with lemon, sour cream, buttermilk, you'll always have baking soda with it too, because of the acid.
right, correct. It's one of my little fun facts. There'll be more, no worries.
Or have you ever just forgotten it completely and had a little lead cake?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, that has definitely happened. Definitely happened.
Well, that happened with some of my Christmas cookies, and my grandchildren were here, and I bought baking powder. Baking soda was in a cylinder container, and that's usually baking powder comes in there. So when we were all done with the cookies, my grandchildren says, "These are salty. This is so super salty." So then I realized what the mistake was.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I'm going to add is the flour. in a couple stages.
Is this Gail who just joined on? The
Yes.
iPhone? Okay, hi. Just so you
Hi.
know, I'll email you the recipe.
What are we making?
Right now, we are making cherry chocolate, cherry, bleh. Cherry
Cherry chocolate sounds
bomb.
good.
Yeah.
I was out
Um,
shoveling.
Yep, just so you know, you don't have to worry about writing this down. I will email it to you after the class.
Okay, because I'm making sourdough as I'm listening.
Get back here.
Nicole, do you
Okay.
need miniature cups? They look like cupcake liners that are the miniature ones.
Yes. All right,
Okay.
so what we have here is we have the dough, and it is a thick dough, almost, it is, even though it looks like a little cupcake, they are calling it a cookie. It is like a cookie batter, and you can, let me get the pan. I have the tossy pan here and the little miniature cups. Or if you didn't have the tossy pan, you could always use, they say, put them an inch apart on a baking sheet. So, no need to get, fancy equipment. Next thing they want you to do, so we did mix in our butter, our sugar, our cocoa, baking soda, baking powder, egg and flour, and the juice of the liquid of a teaspoon of the cherry juice, the remaining cherry juice, or if you remember, if you had soaked them in the brandy, you can use that. Now, it depends on the humidity, the type of brand of flour you use. I used a teaspoon, and then I noticed that it wasn't getting together like a cookie batter. So I did add just a little bit more, about a half a teaspoon of more cherry juice, so I can mold it around. So, that is something, like I said, depending on the humidity, the brand of flour, it's going to absorb your liquid different. So, but just add a little at a time, because you can't take it out. You don't want to add more flour. So what they want you to do is take this little gadget here, is a teaspoon. So I'm going to measure out a teaspoon, and they want you to flatten it down. You take your cherries and you're going to wrap this all around, and you have this cute little ball with the stems, and you just lay it right in there. Easy as that. And it's a nice dough. Your hands aren't too sticky. And this would be great if you have any grandchildren or kids around. It's almost like molding Play-Doh around. And you just set it right in there. And this would be nice for, like I said, nice little treat for Valentine's Day. And if you didn't want to use the maraschino cherries, you could always just use the dark sweet cherries. They wouldn't have the stem.
So another fun fact, maraschino cherries were actually put in a liquor when they were first originated, but then when Prohibition came into play, they were no longer allowed to do that. There you go.
I really like the fun facts that Nicole's introducing.
I try.
I didn't know that.
Exactly, yes. And here's another weird thing. So most people, if they were asked to close their eyes and describe the color cherry red, the first thing that would pop into their mind would be a maraschino cherry. And who here, as a little kid, did not have a Shirley Temple?
That's right. Yeah, that's made with grenadine, isn't it?
Yep, yes. Well, or they use the juice from the maraschino
The
cherries.
maraschino cherry.
My family in Michigan raised Queen Anne cherries, which were
Ooh.
white cherries,
Oh, it was my mother's favorite.
which is
Oh,
what they
man.
make maraschino cherries out of.
Correct.
Yeah,
Mm.
because I do believe that these are the white cherries, which are, I'm not sure if they are Queen Anne. And that's how they get them to be red.
Right.
Now, if you ladies were here with me,
We'd all be in there.
you'd all be in there helping me
Yeah, right.
get these. I have the oven heating for 350. And I'm, like I said, I'm starting with this recipe first so we can bake them and see how they come out. And then we will work on the Romesco sauce. So once
I wonder
get-
if you could use, I mean, obviously cherries are the cute factor because they have the little stem and,
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm thinking, I wonder what else
You wonder what
you
I
could
didn't hear
potentially
that.
put in the middle of that dough.
I
Oh,
would
and there's probably
imagine,
other
you know,
stuff you could probably put inside. I'm trying to think.
chocolate. I would love raspberries. I love
Raspberry.
chocolate raspberries.
Well,
Uh,
did anybody check out my raspberry lava cake recipe yesterday in the newsletter?
You know
No, I
what?
didn't.
I didn't even read that yet. I apologize, but
Yeah, well,
looking at
MailChimp
the recipes.
MailChimp crashed in the morning, so
Oh,
I ended up having to wait until after 5 o'clock when it finally came back up so I could finish my email newsletter. So that's why it was so late yesterday. It was horrible. I don't know what was going on, but I think there was a technological warp. But yeah, there's a recipe in there for it's a lava cake, but they use raspberries instead inside.
I love chocolate and raspberries. I have a cake that is our favorite. I know Ernie likes it. It's, you know, just a regular chocolate cake filled with a raspberry filling and with whipped cream and mascarpone. I like that.
Mhm.
Now Ernie suggested maybe to put a Hershey Kiss in the center of these, but
Oh,
that's
yeah.
his chocolate sweet tooth.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's why I like that man, you know? Chocolate, chocolate, and more chocolate. It's all good.
You know what's gonna be the hard part is trying to keep him away from tasting all of these. Like I said, if we were together, all of you would go home with some and have some. But now I'm stuck with watching him and all of these, you know.
Well, you could
Yeah.
always, I would imagine they would freeze nicely. You could, you know, put some in the freezer
Yeah.
and then ration them out.
Yeah.
Put a nut inside.
What's
What?
that?
Could you put a nut inside?
Oh, yeah, you could, definitely.
Interesting.
That's why they call me the Cookie Monster.
Ah.
Yeah, you and I had a conversation about our love of cookies. I haven't really met a cookie that I didn't like, so, you know.
That's for sure.
Yeah, like I said, the cute factor is the stem and for
Mhm.
Valentine's Day, but if you like the basic cookie here, I don't see why you couldn't, you know, be creative, whatever your, you know, your family likes, you know,
Mhm,
put in
mhm.
some nice, whatever goes with chocolate, you know, the fresh fruit. Okay, getting there.
So,
Getting ahead
ladies,
of this.
while we have a few more moments here, is there anything in particular that you're wanting to get out of this class or this group? I'm not going to call it a class. I'm going to call it a group because we all are contributors. Is there anything in particular you're looking to get out of it, or
Yeah, we'll take requests for, you know, future weeks, you know, we just love to cook and, you know, all share the same thing.
Good.
Right,
And
right.
remember, in 2 weeks, February 23rd is our next class. And I was thinking about, unless someone else has something else, one of the recipes being chicken marsala.
No,
Sounds
that,
good to me.
that sounds good.
Pork marsala is really good too.
Yes, it
Pork,
is,
yeah,
pork.
And think of it this way, in a way, like kind of what we do, like you can think, oh, this is what we're gonna have for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
And if you ladies would like, we could send the emails out like the day before, and then you would know what we're gonna make.
Mhm.
You know,
If a cook-
and we had talked about cooking together, but we feel like it would be a longer process and we don't want to bore everybody to death. You know,
Mhm.
we want it to be very interactive. So if anybody has any like experiences with anything, feel free to share away.
I would like to learn some yeast breads
Okay.
because I always shy away from that.
Oh,
Yes,
I
me
love to
too.
make yeast bread. Yeah, and that's not a problem. You know, we're trying to think of some things that, you know, that we could do in the hour time. The only problem with the yeast breads, and yes, we can do it and talk about them, is the time it takes to raise the dough.
You know, Barb, maybe what we could do for that is have it, you know, like maybe we could share that sort of, you know, like one, you know, like maybe you do one process and I have it in a second step. And there's somebody on this call that I might even be able to throw in for another step because
Mhm.
there's somebody on this call that is very, very good at stuff like that. You know, that we could maybe have it in stages so you can see the stages. That's a thought.
Mhm.
Mm.
You can also make the dough in one session and then have it raised, you know, beforehand. And then just go to the next step. Because
Right,
Exactly.
raising is what takes so long with.
right, right.
One thing too, would be a pizza dough.
Hmm.
You know, that has a lot of, if, you know, if anybody would want that, that doesn't take as long and that would be easier to make it in a couple steps because I could mix it up and then have one already mixed up raising.
Right.
So that's not usually a double rise. Some are, like the Sicilian pizza, but yeah, we could, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Okay, I am wrapping my last one,
Yay.
and then I'm gonna put this in the oven.
See, it's good that I'm not there because I would be eating them right now.
I normally would too. Let me just rinse off my hands.
Is it still snowing outside?
yes,
Yes, it is.
yes.
Okay, so this is what they look like in the cups.
Mhm. Oh,
It's a little
Mhm.
ball with a stem sticking out.
Yeah.
And I have the oven preheated to 350.
Do you have them in cake liners or
Yes, I have them
cupcake
in.
liners?
and we didn't see the liners.
Yes, I have them in the little,
Foil ones? Are they?
I
foil?
happen to have paper ones, but they are shown in the recipe as in the foil ones. That's what I happen to have in the closet. And we're gonna bake them for 10 to 12 minutes. So I'm gonna put them in the middle rack and I'm going to set for 10 and then I will check that. All right. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is, before we put that away, I am going to quickly whip up the frosting.
Here, I'll show you the picture again, ladies. See, it has a little frosting on the top.
Ah, yes. Pretty.
A nice little bite-sized morsel.
Mhm.
Yes. All right, so I'm going to, in the smaller bowl, I have the butter, it's a 1/4 cup of butter, and that is at room temperature. So all we're gonna put in there is the butter, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1 cup of powdered sugar, and 2 tablespoons of cherry juice. And that's why we wanted to reserve that. I'm gonna put, I always start with 1 and then add, because then I'm not adding a whole bunch of sugar. Let me do it slow at first, so. And I see I will need the second one.
Barbara, would you be using the brandy? If
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, you could use the cherry juice or the brandy. If you soak these in the brandy, then you would use that.
Okay.
Probably good that it's snowing outside. Otherwise, everybody'd be running out to get their cherries, right?
Yeah.
The grocery store people would be like, why is everybody getting cherries? With stems,
Yeah, with stems.
with stems. That's the hard part sometimes.
If
Mhm,
anyone
you can't
goes
find
to
them.
ShopRite, it's aisle 17. I think I put on 5 miles trying to find them.
Yes. Sometimes that's the one thing about ShopRite I find. I don't understand their logistics. Like, and maybe it's just me, but sometimes I'm like, well, why is that in that aisle? That doesn't make sense.
Have you ever been to Kinsley ShopRite in Broadensville?
No, I
Yes.
heard
Oh
it's
my gosh, it's
Oh,
like a
it's
football
huge.
field.
Yeah.
get on your sneakers for that adventure, right?
Yeah, your
Mm.
roller skates.
Yeah.
Good, okay, the icing is, the frosting is mixed up. Now with those ingredients, I found I needed to use a little more cherry juice to make it a nice consistency. But that's something with baking and cooking. Use, what you want, your own consistency. So I'll just push that aside, and we are baking, and we're going to start on the Romanesco sauce. Let me get this out of the way.
Now,
All
Barbara,
right.
what do you do with a Romanesco sauce?
All right, and now I'm going to tell you that. Great
Okay.
question.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not familiar
All
with
right.
that.
Again, you'll have a recipe for it. Now the Romanesco sauce, it's a rich sauce of charred tomatoes and roasted red peppers. It's pureed in a blender or in a food processor, and it's thickened with toasted almonds and bread. And it's a great sauce. Let me bring this over here. It's a great sauce to put over roasted vegetables, fish, chicken, or if you make the bruschetta, with the garlic, and you can serve it with raw vegetables. So it has a lot of uses for it. Now, today, I'm going to be using a jar of the roasted red peppers and a can of fire roasted tomatoes. When you have the farmer's market out there, it would be excellent to take, the red peppers, stick them on a grill, stick them in your broiler or on a nice baking sheet and roast them until they are dark and charred. Same thing with your tomatoes, if you prefer, or something quick, a nice, jar is fine. And it uses raw garlic. If you're not crazy over the strong flavor of the raw garlic, you could always roast garlic. That would be, again, your choice. I happen to love garlic, so it doesn't bother me, but the roasted garlic is a little less pungent.
The more
Oh.
garlic, the better.
Yeah,
Mhm.
more garlic, the better. So, it's, something, like I said, the bruschetta toast, you can serve it with over roasted vegetables or a crudité platter. It works over anything. Now, it is, and again, you make it how you want with the heat. We don't care for things real hot. So that's where you're going to adjust your, you'll adjust your type of peppers that you're going to use. I'm using the jarred sweet peppers, drained. So I'm gonna get mine.
While she's doing that, here's the recipe, just so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like as sauce. And I'll email this to all of you after class.
So you would put this over any kind of meat or pasta or
Yes.
vegetable?
Seafood is excellent over seafood. All right, so I have the jar of roasted peppers, and I'm gonna drain them if they want to come out. There we go. They smell good. Or it would be 2 large peppers, about a half a pound. You could roast them yourself. So I'm going to, they're draining. 3 tomatoes roasted, or a half a cup of fire roasted diced tomatoes. Now, this is a little more than a half of a cup, but the way I cook is like, what am I going to do with the half a cup? The other portion of it, stick it in the refrigerator, and then it turns fuzzy. So I'm going to dump it all in, and it'll just make a little more of a sauce. No big deal. You have 2 slices of a country bread or a baguette. It's dried. Put it in the oven, put it in the toaster, leave it out overnight. Half a cup of toasted almonds. And since it's all ground up, it doesn't matter what you're having, whether it's the whole almonds, the sliced almonds, or the slivered almonds. I just took a frying pan, put it over the burner. You have to watch it, and lightly kept stirring them until they browned and you smell, the fragrance coming off of them. Fresh parsley, and I would suggest that as opposed to the dried. You can use the regular paprika or smoked paprika. Now, we have a lot of smoke going on with the fire roasted tomatoes and the roasted peppers. Again, this is your personal taste. If you wanted to add more smoke flavor to it. I'm going to today use just the regular paprika. Salt, a little pepper. You can use sherry or sherry vinegar. I'm going to use sherry and extra virgin olive oil. Now, the other thing that we can change here is it says 1 teaspoon of pure ground chili powder or red pepper flakes. Now, chili powder, the word chili, C-H-I-L-E, with the E at the end, is just the pepper ground, whether it's the chipotle peppers or the whatever pepper it is. The word chili, C-H-I-L-I, has extra additives in, and that's normally what is used for, a pot of chili. So be careful of that. It will change the flavor. They're asking for the type of chili pepper you want. So chili with an E is the pure one type of chili. The chili with the I is the mixture of other ingredients. And again, your taste. I'm going to be using the crushed red pepper flakes because this is what I happen to have in the closet. And again, you can be adaptable. Now, heard the timer. Let me see what it's doing. Okay, I did it for 10 minutes. And I'm going to do it for 2 more. They need just a little bit more.
Now, if you're not a fan of the heat factor, could you omit the red pepper flakes? Or,
I would say so. We're not real big heat people, but I will use a very small amount in a recipe of the chili flakes or the cayenne pepper. Because it adds something, but it doesn't add heat, you know. And I heard it's good for like knees and stuff, you know, the capsaicin. All right, so I have all the ingredients here. So the first thing it wants me to do is broil my vegetables, but that's already done. So I am going to put in the garlic cloves. And I'm gonna pulse it a little bit, maybe not, hold on. There we go. I'm working backwards, so I have to. Okay, they want that chopped until it's nice and chopped and adheres to the side of the bowl. And I'm gonna scrape down the sides. Did I do with my spatula? I had 2 of them. Oh, I used both of them. Let me get another one. Scraping that down. If you have any big chunks, you can give it another roll. I see one big chunk here. I'm going to check my oven.
yeah, we don't want to see any smoke rolling out.
Oh,
That'd be a disaster for the first show, right?
Yeah.
that looks pretty good.
Well, we might make the headlines, you know.
Yeah.
They smell good. They smell like brownies.
Oh, if only we had
All right, so now I have
smell-o-vision.
to now take a whiff.
Oh,
Look at that. Take
Yum.
a whiff.
Oh, cute.
Yes.
Thank
All
Mm.
right, so I'm gonna let them cool over here on a rack. And then hopefully when we're done with the sauce, we'll have a couple that I can, you know, icing. All right, so then after I do that, they want me to add the toasted almonds. Toasted almonds, the bread, which I will break it up a little bit. What's nice about this is, you know, for the summer too, you can have a nice sauce. You go to the farmer's market and get some nice vegetables roasted on the grill. You're not heating up your kitchen. Some people don't like to do that. All right, so I have in there the almonds, the bread, the chili powder or the flakes. Now I'm just going to add a very little bit of the chili, very, very little, because we're not a big heat fan. And since Ernie's the one who has to eat it.
This is a good
I mean, I
recipe
will
to-
too, don't get me wrong. All
This
right,
recipe seems good for, you can personalize it too as well. So if you would like more heat, you could obviously add more heat depending on what you were going to use it for.
right, and I don't see why, if you're not a fan of almonds, but let's say you love hazelnuts or something else, why couldn't you put that in also? You
And that
know,
would add a whole new
instead.
flavor profile to it as
It-
well.
It would, it
Mhm.
would, and if that's what you have in your cabinet, so be it. Okay, so I add the almonds, the bread, the chili flakes, and now I'm going to just keep processing that. Okay, and everything is nice and fine, and it's saying to process it into a paste. Well, there's not really liquid to make it paste. It looks like very fine breadcrumbs. If I squeeze a little bit, it might stick together because of the the garlic, but there's nothing else in there that is going to cause that to go into a paste. A couple more pulses. Okay, so once that is done, it's asking me to add the peppers. The tomatoes. I have 2 tablespoons of fresh parsley. Yesterday ShopRite had really nice parsley, which then I bought, instead of 1, I bought 2, so I can make a nice tabbouleh. And then the sherry vinegar or the sherry. And then I don't want to put too much in, so it's 2 tablespoons of sherry.
Well, now some cooks would put a couple in there and a couple in a drink, but
Now, notice I am measuring, I'm not just pouring.
A little in there, a little over here. Okay.
Because you're watching, I'm following directions. Usually I don't do recipes very well. I mean, it's always, oh, I think I'm going to add some more of that or whatever. I'm going to add some black pepper. And you can add salt. I'm not going to add salt because we both have to watch our salt content. And usually when you get these things like the sodium on here, it's already 300 milligrams of sodium in here and whatever was in the pepper. I would wait to add the salt until the end, see what you need. All right, so what I'm going to do now is start to grind this up. And they want about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of olive oil. So I'll pour 1/2 cup, I'll pour 1/2 cup. But you don't want to put it all in. You want to put it in the stream, in the feed tube, and see the consistency that you want. Okay, so let's follow the directions here. All right, so I'm going to process until smooth, which we did with the ingredients that was in there. I added the vinegar, which was the sherry, and the olive oil in a nice stream. So I'm going to turn it on. And that was 1/4 cup. So let me don't know that I would add any more for ourselves. It would make a nice sauce. And again, you don't have to add the whole half a cup if you wanted. I want to grind this up a little bit more and then taste for the seasonings. It has a very nice smell to it. Oh, that is nice. I would put,
Mm. My mouth
okay,
is watering.
the garlic is strong. And
We
you
need
can,
smell-o-vision.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Smell-o-vision.
it's fine for me, those 2 cloves of garlic, but you may want to, cut it back. Yeah, and it's not real smoky. I have to add the paprika, and we want a little bit of paprika. Let me just make sure I get a teaspoon here. All right, as you can see, it is a very easy sauce for the summertime. And we did the red peppers, the tomatoes, the bread, garlic, almonds, the chili flakes or powder, whatever you want. The Italian parsley, paprika, again, the sweet paprika or the smoky paprika, whatever you want. Salt, pepper, the sherry. You don't really taste the sherry, and the olive oil. And mine took, a half of a cup or a quarter of a cup. I didn't put the whole half in. Now it says, then afterwards you adjusted for the seasoning. I don't think I would need any more salt in there. I did add a little more pepper. They want you to let it stand for an hour, room temperature, so all of the flavors mellow together and blend. And it says here, serve over vegetables, fish, chicken, or any meat of your choice. Can also be used as a dip with fresh vegetables or grilled bread. Also, it's a nice gift for people if you have your, your ball jars or real fancy jars. You can make it up, serve it to someone with a bunch of grilled bread, take it over as a gift. I like to myself, maybe I annoy the neighbors, I don't know. I like to bake, and I will take them something over. Like for Valentine's Day, here comes Barbara with, goodies, and whether you're on a diet or not, it doesn't matter, you get them. But this would be nice too, something different rather than maybe a baked good, a jar of the Romesco sauce, maybe with a plate of fresh vegetables or grilled vegetables or the bread. So that's just a thought of how you can use this, and I will put them in the jars to be able to keep them. Let me go back and see what is happening with our cookies over here.
Half of them are gone because while you were talking, Ernie came over. I saw him.
Who? Oh, Ernie came over?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, they're still all there.
okay. So now I'm just taking them out, and I will be able to ice in a few. I can pull them out by the stems. I better not do that in case they, come loose.
Now, does anybody have a particular food processor that they are using that they like or don't like?
Well, I love my Cuisinart. This is my third one. My one from 35 years ago, the big one like this died. And then I had a smaller one, which was a mini, which was great for chopping nuts. And, after 35 years, I guess, okay, it's all right. I was sad to see it go. And then I did get you know, replace them, you know, the smaller one in this, but I love the Cuisinart.
We also have a question in the chat, Barbara. What were you going to make with your extra parsley?
Tabbouleh. Tabbouleh is a Middle Eastern, a Lebanese salad. You chop up parsley, tomatoes, cucumbers, bulgur wheat, wheat berry, whatever wheat you have. I was going to use the kiwan because that's what I happen to have. I might have some other type of wheat. Can't get down to Trader Joe's, and that's where, you know, I buy some of it. You can buy it in ShopRite also. An onion, and then you make a lemon garlic dressing and toss it. You can also add, you know, red pepper, but normally it's like cucumbers, tomatoes, the parsley, the wheat, and then the dressing is more of a Lebanese. But I did find a recipe in a magazine for another type. They're adding more stuff. They were adding black beans to it. And I'm not vegetarian, but I'm trying to eat more plant-based stuff. So I said, oh, that might make a hearty meal with a nice piece of bread. So I am going to try that. And if that's a new recipe, if that's a winner, oh, maybe.
There we
You know,
go.
we'll make that.
Anybody else
now-
want to share? Oh, sorry, Barbara.
Well, I have like a little dish and a little part doily here. So I'm going to just take one or two and dip it in the icing here.
Anybody else want to share their favorite food processor? And feel free to use the chat too.
I have the Cuisinart also, and that's my favorite. I have a newer model than Barbara has, but Cuisinart is really the best. It has a lot of different attachments, and you can even has the attachment for shredding carrots and grating cheese, and it's just overall a good piece of equipment to have in the kitchen.
Nice. Yeah, it seems like Cuisinart is across the board. Yeah, my poor little one's dying and it's making weird smells, so I guess it's time to upgrade.
Yeah. You can get, if you watch the sales, you can get nice sales with Kohl's.
Yeah.
Now, I'm only icing two because I want them to cool a little bit. And then you can serve it like that. Now, should I make Ernie try one?
Yes.
All right. Here comes the
Look
hand.
at. He's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
All right, so Nicole has the recipes. Okay.
2 thumbs up.
Yum. Boy, that was quick, Ernie.
Yeah, they're little.
Yeah.
Make sure you take the stem off. Don't eat the stem.
It's good.
Whoa, 35-year-old Cuisinart. Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, were the cookies soft inside or crispy?
Ernie, come here. I think you have a question. Is it crispy or soft inside?
Crispy on the outer edge and soft on the inside.
Okay, so probably like a brownie, because of the way it baked. This is, you know, exposed to the heat, so it's almost like a brownie,
Mhm.
Mm.
and it
Oh.
smells like a brownie. All right.
It's nice cherry taste too.
Ernie said it has a nice cherry taste. Don't forget, we have the cherry in the center. We put the cherry liquid or the brandy, you know, soaked cherry in the chocolate brownie and also in the icing.
Let's try it with brandy next time.
No, we're not trying it with brandy next time.
Oh, come on. So I'm going to have a recording of these as well. So if you guys would like those, I can include that in your email along with the recipes. And please feel free to email me with any suggestions, comments, criticisms, whatever, because we really want to make this a fun group. And so this being our first one, Barbara, you did a great job.
Oh, thank
But
you.
we're always
Thank you.
looking for, hey, there's always different ways, and we are not about being, you give us suggestions, we'll do it.
Yeah, because, I'm not a trained chef, but my father was a chef. My mother did some, cooking and catering. So, I learned from them about food. So, and I love to cook, as you could see. But anything you want, I, try to make everything from scratch. And my children learned how to cook, and if it was something, rather than eating all the preservatives and chemicals, like, oh, you like that? We were good at coming up with, oh, what do you think is in that recipe, and copying it with healthy stuff. So, you have any suggestions, we'll do it. I like the idea of the bread, and Nicole came up with a solution. We can have a couple people at several different stages of it. Or, if you're looking for like a pizza dough or a focaccia, that is not raised as much. So, we could always do that. I was thinking of, we're developing this, whatever you want, give some ideas. I was thinking of chicken marsala for the next time, because I don't have a stove countertop. It's over in the corner, and rather than you looking at my back, I figured I could do the marsala here in a electric frying pan. So, whatever you want. If you,
Nice.
send, me some suggestions, send Nicole suggestions, and, we can have fun. If you have a great recipe you want to do, we'll feature you one week,
There you go.
So, it's just we're out here to learn and have fun, and maybe one day we can all get together and, meet here, meet at FCC, and then we could sit down, and I'm not stuck with all these brownies.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank
Pass the
you.
word
Very fun.
around, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.